Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Mental Locker Room. Today, I have here with me Justin Harris, a former Vanderbilt football player and current Vanderbilt coach, but I will let him give a brief introduction of himself. So, Justin.
Justin Harris. I appreciate. First of all, I just say I appreciate you having me on. Thank you for just taking the time out to hear me and talk with me. But Justin Harris, from Gaston, Alabama originally. Shout out to everyone from Alabama, but Gaston, Alabama originally. Not too big of a town, but kind of born and raised there. And I came here to Vanderbilt out of high school to play football as a defensive back. Dealt with a lot of injuries and stuff like that we'll talk about later. Now I'm moving on to the coaching world. And I'm blessed to still be here at Vanderbilt and my alum. But yeah, let's do it.
Awesome, awesome. Yeah, so Justin, I know that you have had a whirlwind of a time here at Vanderbilt. Definitely big changes from your start to finish here. So, kind of starting into it, I know that you mentioned injuries. During your time at Vanderbilt, what injuries did you experience? Were there any significant injuries? And how did they impact your performance and mindset as an athlete?
Yeah, so I tore my labrum starting in my senior year of high school. I tore my labrum, I want to say 3 or 4 times, and I had 3 shoulder surgeries to repair it. And so just in terms of my mindset, I think especially once I got to college, I think I was very hesitant. I wasn't confident in my shoulder and in my ability to go out there and play 100%, which affected my mental on the field. You know what I mean? And it was kind of the biggest part of disrupting my dreams and my career of wanting to be in the NFL.
Yeah, no, I mean, I totally understand. And I feel like injuries are so tough also, especially coming straight out of high school, because you have this goal and this dream that you're looking forward to. And something comes in there and just changes that. I mean, what was the most difficult part for you about that? And what was your timeline in recovery? How did that all play out?
Yeah. So for timeline wise, it was anywhere from 4 to 6 months, and obviously as you continue to hurt the same thing and continue to get the same thing repaired, they're gonna take the recovery process slower to try to make sure you get back. So my first time, I'll probably say I was back in 4 to 5ish months. But then as I continued to hurt it and get surgery again, it moved closer to 6, sometimes even 8ish months, just because they wanted to be super precautious with me and make sure that they were doing everything right to get me back. But in terms of the most challenging things, obviously it was just not being able to be out there and play the game that I love and be out there with my brothers, man. Just seeing all the work that they were doing, that we were doing in the off season, and I wasn't able to go out there and participate and do the fun part. You go through all the workouts and all the mess, and the fun part is actually playing the game of football, and I wasn't able to go out there and do that. And then I also say I felt burdened because I felt it was my responsibility to make it to the NFL and provide for my family, because they sacrificed so much for me to get me in this position. And so at times I felt like a failure to them. You know what I mean? Just because I wasn't able to go out there and do the game that I love and put myself in a position to make it to the next levels.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely has to be a mindset switch at that point. I mean, I don't know if you'd agree with me, because I feel like as athletes, so much of our identity is tied around our sport.
Yeah, 100%. I agree with that 100%, and I've seen it not only in myself but within some of my teammates as well. But you've played sports. For me, I played sports since I was 4 years old. You know what I mean? And so when it's finally taken away from me, now I don't even really know who I am anymore, or what I can provide to this world. You know what I mean? And it's just sad. We got to get away from, and I don't really have any hobbies or any activities that I do outside of sports.
Yeah.
And so sports was truly was my identity. And it's kind of just sad that so many athletes go through this, and no one truly even talks about it. And our identities are wrapped up into our sport, and then when it's taken away from you, it's what do I do? What do I do next? So
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. Going through your injury and facing these identity changes, how did this injury kind of shape the way that you approach training or coaching and your life now?
Yeah, so I say the biggest thing for me was that when I was injured, so when I on the team, I was known as kind of the energy giver and a leader in my position role, and so I tried to maintain that even through injury, and that's kind of what kept my peace and kept me happy and showing up every day with a smile on my face as a player. You know what I mean? And so for me, I this is with coaching now, this is how I show that same energy and love for the game and competition, and Coach Lee saw that in me. as a player, and he knew that coaching was something that was important to me and that something that I wanted to do because my dad coached me my entire life, and he knew I wanted to be like, my dad. And so he gave me the opportunity to stay on the staff and be able to be on this team and stay around this program and coach. But like, I think that's how I got through it, just being able to like give my energy to others, especially like the young kids, the young players that looked up to me, even though I wasn't on the field, and I helped them get prepared to go out there and make plays on the field. And so when I saw those guys making plays on the field, it felt like I was making that play on the field in a sense, you know what I mean? And just because I spent a lot of time as one of the older guys in the room, especially to help them grow and help them learn and be ready to go out there and make plays.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's absolutely amazing. I mean, this leads me directly into the next question that I had down anyway, which is, what were the biggest challenges you faced from shifting your mindset as a player to a coach? Was that difficult for you?
Yes and no. So like, I think I don't know if you agree with this, but I feel like when I was a player, like I didn't see my coach as like a person. You know what I mean? Like I just saw him as just like a coach. Like he didn't have like he didn't have a normal life. Or like he didn't never let his guard down, his coaching guard down. And so like when I transitioned to the coaching side of it, like it was cool, but it was kind of weird to kind of see like the personal side and like they are humans and they make jokes. They're not always serious and they have fun. And just seeing that side of my coaches was kind of weird at first because these are the same people that was just yelling at me and getting on to me and helping me get better a year ago. And so that was kind of fun and cool. But like in terms of just the actual coaching aspect of it, I think the attention to detail is probably what I had to work on the most. But I mean, like I was already kind of coaching my young guys up and helping them out when I was a player, and so that part, just the on the field part, wasn't that much of a difference. But in terms of like in the office, getting work done and things like that, like the attention and detail was probably the most challenging thing for me because if you ask anybody that truly knew me, like they knew like I'm not very organized. I'm not very aware. And so like that's probably the biggest thing that I had to learn and that I'm still learning. So yeah.
Going back to your experience at Vanderbilt, have your experiences with your injuries and just your time at Vanderbilt influenced how you coach your players and how you handle players who are going through similar situations?
100%. I mean, I think the biggest goal, like as a coach or like that played the game, or even like when you think about like being a parent, like you want your players or your kids to be better than you were and to take what you did and learn from your mistakes and progress that. And so like my biggest thing now is like trying to teach these guys and help these guys learn from my mistakes or any of the other coaches' mistakes that we made when we were playing college football and grow from those and don't make the same mistakes. Like you can be better off than us and putting them in a position to where they can succeed. And so I would say that's probably like the biggest thing. And so like, for example, like my early enrollee freshman that I got now, that I meet with him 2 to 3 times a week, and he's just learning football right now. Like he come from small town where he just was more athletic than everyone else. So just kind of like just teaching them the game and teaching them like understanding football, not just going out there and just being better than. Because you won't always go out there and be better than. You're going to come across, especially in the SEC, you're going to come across someone that's just as good, if not better than you. So just going out there and showing and teaching them the game of football and learning that, and he's gaining football knowledge and football IQ right now. And also just trying to show him how to take care of his body, because that's something I wish somebody would have told me when I was, you know what I mean, when I was playing. It's just like, did you go stretch today? Did you go roll out today? Did you go do something to help take care of your body? Because if it wasn't a shoulder for me, it was a hamstring or a groin or something, because I wasn't always active. And so when I got back to being active, I was tight. I wasn't ready. I hadn't ran in a long time. And so it would be one injury to the next thing. And obviously those are minor injuries. The shoulder is major, but like I'm trying to just put all those things in his mind right now as he's learning to grow and only been on campus for about to be a semester now. So
I mean, I think that's absolutely amazing. And you're talking about the relationship building also. Do you think that because you were a player at Vanderbilt, you have a better idea of how to build these relationships with your players?
Oh yeah, I mean, I think the biggest thing is the relatability. Like I just was in their shoes, you know what I mean? And more specifically, I was in their shoes at this school. And so I do think I have an advantage of building relationships in that sense. And so yeah, I use that to my advantage, you know what I mean? And that helps me build the relationship with these players, especially like when we're talking about off the field stuff, like, oh, you was in that class, oh, I took that class, or oh, you had that professor, you know, I took that professor, what do you think about it? I mean, things like that, just building conversation and building that that relationship and that bond through things that we can that we have in common. You know what I mean? And so I definitely use that to my advantage. And like I know when I'm not here anymore, then it's gonna be like, oh, what do I do? Like my whole process is gonna be different. So
I feel like it also kind of gets back to the fact that it's kind of humanizing in the way that you said, I've never seen my coach as really a person. I mean,
right.
obviously you do, but it kind of brings you down to that level of, humanizing so that you're able to build that actual relationship with your players, which I think is absolutely phenomenal.
No, 100%. Yeah, I agree. I agree with that 100%.
So obviously football is such a big part of your life. Is there something that you really miss about playing that you want to bring into your coaching philosophy now, or something specific that you want to teach your players?
Like I think our my boss, like our corners coach now, I think he does a fantastic job, and I really feel like if some of the things that he was teaching, because he didn't coach me, he his first year was last year, and so he didn't coach me, but some of the things that he's teaching, like I wish I knew, and like some of the football IQ, like I wish I knew, and I wish that I paid attention to as a player, that I'm trying to help these guys learn and understand and think about and look at. And like, so like, I think now with being on both sides very recently, like, I think my biggest thing is like letting them watch the game and letting them see the game through a coach's view and a coach's mindset, because that's going to make them play faster and it's going to help them understand the game more. You know what I mean? And like, that'll help them like anticipate things that they probably wouldn't anticipate if they just looking at it from like a player's lens. You know what I mean? And so I think getting that like big picture view of like what is the offense trying to attack, what is the defense trying to accomplish, and things of that nature. Like that's not stuff that I was thinking about as a player. I'm thinking, okay, what's the call? Okay, what's my job in this call? Okay, I'm just gonna do that. But it's so much more to it than that. And so I think like the biggest thing is just like seeing it from a coach's perspective and teaching them from a coach's perspective so they can see it differently and play differently. Because these guys are smart. I mean, they go to Vanderbilt. You know what I mean? Like they can handle it. And so using that to our advantage. And I think that's helped us. And I think it helped us last season.
I mean, it clearly helped you guys have a really successful season. That was one of the coolest seasons I've ever watched in my entire life, with beating Alabama and everything. That was absolutely insane.
Nah, yeah, 100%. And like for people that's been around Vanderbilt football for a while, and like, or who was even here from when I was here, like that was a different season. That's not something that a lot of people are used to, but that's what we're aiming to be and aiming towards. And we went 7-6, just above 500. That's not good enough. Like we think we have better in our in our bag, and so like the goal is to make a run for the, you know what I mean, for the national championship. And like that's our mindset now. And I couldn't tell you that was our mindset a few years ago. I think it was a losing mindset and a losing culture, and it was detrimental to the locker room and detrimental to these coaches and players. You know what I mean? And so like that's another thing that I try to tell these guys too, because not all of them, only now on the team is probably only like one or two that saw what it was before. Like when I was playing this, so like just reminding these guys like how far we came, but like we're not anywhere near where we could be. And we had a potential to be a really great team. And so yeah, I mean, like that season was great, and we're striving for better and more this upcoming season. But like compared to where we came from and what I saw Vanderbilt as a player experience, I mean, we came a long way. So I'm happy to see it.
Okay, so bring me into that locker room a little bit. When you were in the locker room and compared to what it is now, what change do you think happened?
I think the change was a focus on togetherness and a brotherhood. I think when I first got here, everyone was kind of just out for themselves. They didn't believe we could win. They didn't go into every game believing we could win, but they went into the game thinking like, oh, I'm gonna have a good game. I'm gonna get mine to get ready to get me to the next level. You know what I mean? I think that's the switch. I think now we want to win as a team, and you're gonna play within the structure of the team and the offense or the defense or the special teams, and you still gonna make plays and get yours and get to that next level, but you're gonna do it through the team. And so like you're not going outside of your job to make plays. And that also like when adversity hits, you still sticking together. And so like I think about my time here. Anytime we got down in the game by more than a touchdown, we lost that game. Like that was the mindset. You know what I mean? Or even like in COVID, we had the most opt-outs in the country because we weren't together. Like it was guys quitting every week. It wasn't just at the beginning of the season. It was guys quitting every single week. It was insane.
Wow.
Like it was a dude that quit right before we walked out to practice one day. Like, it was, you know what I mean? So it was crazy.
Yeah.
It's crazy to think about the shift that Coach Lee brought in. You know, and now I really say these guys are like they truly they hang out together. They got a brotherhood. They bond, and you know what I mean. They're going through hard stuff together, and they know that they got each other's backs, and the guy beside me got my back. And I think that's kind of been one of the biggest shifts in the locker room that I would say. So yeah.
I think it's so important to know that you do have those people next to you that will support you and pick you up when you're down. That's really what does build a winning team and a winning program from the inside out. Clearly, you've had a part in that, from being a player to now being a coach. Now that you are a coach and you're on the sideline, you're on a completely different perspective of this. How do you stay connected to football emotionally and competitively compared to when you were on the field?
I really think I attack it the same, and I think if you ask anybody on this, like on this team or on this staff, like ask them like about how I attack it, they're gonna say it's probably the same. Just the energy I try to bring every day. Like you just hear me on the sideline yelling, acting a fool. I do it in practice. I do it in the game. I do it like all the time. You know what I mean? And so like that's how I attacked it as a player, and that's how I was as a player, and that's the type of energy I tried to bring. And I think I honestly bring more now because I'm not exhausting energy on the field as well. Like I'm only on the sideline, so I might even bring more energy now. But I mean, I think the guys feed off of it too, and so that's why I also try to bring it every day just so they can feed off my energy to get to the energy levels. Because you gotta have some juice when you're playing the game of football. You know what I mean? And like you can't just be a Debbie Downer all the time. Obviously, you got to be serious. You got to be locked into what you got to do in your job and your assignment. But you got to have some fun and some juice when you play in this game. And so that's what I try to bring every single day. And just knowing like, okay, you make a mistake. Okay, just next play, we still hype for you. We got you. We got your back. So I think I attack it the same, if not even with some more energy.
Yeah, that's incredible. So through all your experiences, clearly you have been through the ringer with injuries, now becoming a coach. If you could look back at your younger self, knowing that you'd have all these experiences, what advice would you give to your younger self?
Oh, man, that's hard. I mean, so like when I'm thinking about it and thinking about like the injuries and I'm thinking about how like I was depressed and was going through like a hard time when I realized that I wouldn't be able to play this game anymore. I think for a few months there, like I lost myself a little bit. And I think I would just tell myself God has a plan for you and there are better days ahead, and like this is what you're meant to be doing, because I think it didn't take a long time for me to fall in love with coaching. And I knew there was something I wanted to do, but I had never done it, so I didn't truly know what I was getting myself into. And like now I'm in love with I love this game of coaching. Like I love this game, and I think I would just tell myself to just not be so in my head about things, and especially about my injuries, because there's a bigger plan ahead. So yeah.
That's a perfect advice, I think. Listen, Justin, thank you so much for joining me on the podcast today and taking time out of your day. I really appreciate it. And this was another episode of The Mental Locker Room.
Thank you.